Welcome down here, ladies and gentlemen, to the Volleyball Activity Centre here in Torrington, Wyoming. My name's Jamie Lambert. I'm going to be your lead commentator for tonight. And we've got a couple of announcements just before we really start getting into the rosters for both teams. The first one being that the EWC Boosters Club are going to be running a raffle for a processed beef. It's a £1/4 pound of processed beef, donated by the EWC Rodeo Club. Each entry will be $25 and 4 winners will be drawn at the EWC basketball game on February the 5th, 2026. Winners will not need to be present at the game to win. The processing is as follows. The steer finished for 200 days and was fed by Dinklage Feedlot. The processing is sponsored by Century 21 Valley Realty. And the winners will be allowed to specify their processing preferences. Secondly, our second announcement of the night is we have the EWC Sophomore Night that is coming up on tomorrow rather. The game on Saturday. So make sure that we pack out the Volleyball Activity Centre and make sure that we get a real good send-off to our sophomores who are going to be leaving us this year. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our live stream tonight of our EWC Lady Lancer Volleyball girls against the Central Wyoming Lady Rustlers. Going to run through the line or the rosters for you very quickly to see what players you might be seeing tonight. Starting off with your Central Wyoming Lady Rustlers, we have from Mapleton, Utah, number 1, Cameron Dennison. From Fillmore, Utah, number 2, Nora Rasmussen. Number 5 from Spanish Fork, Utah, Sarah Mercevy. Number 6 from Nampa, Indiana, is Paige Tolman. Number 8 from Santa Quinn, Utah, is Presley Ryan. Number 10 from Sweden, Ella Svensson. Number 11 from Billings, Montana, Kennedy Noseep. Number 12 from Vernal, Utah, Lindsay Stewart. Number 13 from Brigham City, Utah, Hallie Reeder. Number 16 from Mapleton, Utah, Ellie Van Ginkel. Number 19 from Montpelier, Idaho, Brynley Birch. Number 22 from Lander, Wyoming, Kendall McFadden. Number 23 from Mapleton, Utah, Rachel Workman. Number 24 from Payson, Utah, Quincy Matthews. And rounding out for the Lady Rustlers, number 25 from Farmingham, Utah, Lena Whitney. And now for your Lady Lancers. Number 0 from Torrington, Wyoming, Olive Osmera. Number 2 from Sandy, Utah, Brynley Huff. Number 3 from Belgrade, Serbia, Vladina Ristic. Number 4 from Evanston, Wyoming, Jaylee Critchfield. Number 5 from Waltham, Wisconsin, Alison Botters. Number 6 from Borås, Sweden, Clara Hayhinen. Number 7 from Lusk, Wyoming, Gracie Brennan. Number 9 from Kruševac, Serbia, Una Stepic. Number 10 from Pavilion, Wyoming, Kylie Honstein. Number 11 from Warland, Wyoming, Addison Rollins. Number 12 from Bridgeport, Australia, Tessa Kilchenman. Number 13 from Campinas, Brazil, Ana Carolina Medeiros. Number 14 from St. Cloud, Florida, Alana Asante. Number 15 from Las Vegas, Nevada, Piper Halverson. Number 16 from Wrangley, Colorado, Annika Cantrell. Number 18 from Las Vegas, Nevada, Lola Hughes. Number 19 from Meriden, Wyoming, Savannah Kirkbride. Number 20 from Spanish Fork, Utah, Anne-Marie Huntsman. And rounding out for your Lazy Lancers, number 23 from Pine Bluff, Wyoming, Rachel Macy. They are your rosters for tonight. It's worth bearing in mind that number 3, Vladimir Ristic, and number 15, Piper Halverson, are ineligible for tonight. Both still recovering from injuries. Vladimir Ristic on the better end of her knee injury that was sustained about 3 weeks ago. And we are in for a good game tonight. Join us in a minute where we're going to take you through some pre-game stats. Hello and good evening, and you join us back with a bit of a Central Wyoming celebration there. Hopefully not too many of those tonight. I'm Jamie Lambert. I'm going to be your main commentator for tonight. I'm going to run through some pre-game stats for you. And on paper, it looks like a fairly even game for tonight. For Eastern Wyoming Lady Lancers, we have 359 kills in 29 sets. Central Wyoming having 350 in more sets in 31 sets. The averaging there is 12.38 for your Lady Lancers, and for the Lady Rustlers is 11.29 kills per set. Overall, they are tied on the same amount of errors at 167 in the conference. But the Lady Rustlers just being a little bit more attacking with their 1,150 attacks, compared to your Lady Lancers, 979. Service errors is something that's been a big part of the Lady Lancers game. And tonight they're coming up against opposition that is relatively similar to them. The Lady Lancers recording 66 service errors so far in the conference, whilst the Lady Rustlers at 63. Both teams maybe giving a few more points away than they'd like through services. It is set to be an interesting game tonight between the Lady Lancers and the Lady Rustlers as we watch the girls warm up now. And I must say, one of the things that really stood out from the game the other night against Northwest, and I must say I wasn't here for that game, but I was watching eagerly on the bus back on the way back from Lamar, Colorado after the golf tournament. And I must say the girls looked very comfortable in certain aspects. As Savannah Kirkbride there nearly hitting us up here in the commentary gantry, giving her a bit of a hard time. As I say, it's lovely to have you joining us here live or in person tonight. And I can't wait to bring this latest edition of the Lady Lancers Volleyball. It's going to be a very busy schedule for your Lady Lancers. We've got a game tonight here against Central Wyoming. We then have our sophomore night tomorrow night, which I know that a lot of the girls are looking forward to. Really wanting to make an impact here and to really sign out some of their time here at EWC. And that is going to be against Northwest College. And on Monday night is the last home game of the season for your Lady Lancers. October 27th, we will face at Northeastern Junior College here at the Vale Petch Activity Centre. It's shaping up to be a promising game tonight as we watch just some practice rallies going on between the Lady Lancers here. We are 2.5 minutes out from this game starting. So far for the Lady Lancers, they are 4-4 in the conference. It's definitely not been the season I think that George Hamilton would have panned up as he was getting ready to start this season, but nevertheless they've shown some very encouraging signs. We've been so privileged to bring you those live here, their home games where they've played very well. We've had Western Wyoming obviously on the 17th of October, which, as I say, I was regrettably not here to commentate on, but watched eagerly at home and looked so comfortable. And since then we have had a trip to Western Nebraska Community College where the girls lost 3-2 in sets. It was a very closely fought game. I happened to be present at that game, only being 40 minutes away in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. And it was a game in which the Lady Lancers in the second and fourth sets looked very promising, looked very dominant in many ways against against Western Nebraska. I say Laramie County because we actually had them as our last home game, in which we lost 3-1. That was a difficult game for the Lady Lancers. They came out firing in that second set, managed to get it back to one set apiece, just ended up falling short at the end there. But we're excited to bring this game to you tonight, as we are 30 seconds from announcements and the national anthem, as is tradition. And we very much look forward, me and Coach Engel, to bringing you this game live. So we now go silent to listen to Coach Bill Engel and the announcements that he will be making.
Welcome to Torrington, Wyoming, the beautiful campus of Eastern Wyoming College and the Vale Petch Junior Activity Center for tonight's contest between the wrestlers of Central Wyoming and your Eastern Wyoming Lancers. National Junior College Athletic Association Region 9 Eastern Wyoming College will good partnership with student athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting participants and officials in a positive manner. Taking comments from family reasons seconds for other reasons, comments, or actions by officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives ground or removal from the facility. Eastern Wyoming College, thank you for your support and cooperation. As we honor our country, let's never forget the brave men and women that have and are currently serving our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. We will head here for playing the national anthem. Now for the starting lineups. First, visiting wrestlers. Number 2, Nora Rasmussen. Number 5, Sarah Messerly. Number 8, Presley Bryan. Number 13, Haley Reeder. Number 23, Rachel Workman. Number 24, Quincy Matthews. Number 25, Lena Whitney. And head coach, Kim Davis. Now for your hometown Lancers. Number 0, Colin Aspero. Number 6, Clara Hammond. Number 9, Una Stepich. Number 11, Madison Rollins. Number 14, Elena Asante. Number 16, Anna Cantrell. And number 20, Mari Huntsman. Head coach, George Hamilton. Just a reminder, these are Wyoming Booster Clubs wrapping up a quarter beat. There will be 4 winners drawn on February 5th.
So here we are then. We are here ready to get this game underway. Just to reiterate the starters for you, and we're going to start off with Central Wyoming, your Lady Rustlers. Number 2, Nora Rasmussen. Number 5, Sarah Mercevy. Number 8, Presley Ryan. Number 13, Hallie Reeder. Number 23, Rachel Workman. Number 24, Quincy Matthews. Number 25, Lena Whitney. And for your Lady Lancers tonight, number 0, freshman from Torrington, Wyoming, Olive Osmera. Number 6, sophomore from Borås, Sweden, Clara Heinonen. Number 9, sophomore from Kruševac, Serbia, Una Stepic. Number 11, sophomore from Warland, Wyoming, Addison Rollins. Number 14, freshman from St. Cloud, Florida, Alana Asante. Number 16, sophomore from Wrangell, Colorado, Annika Cantrell. And number 20, sophomore from Spanish Fork, Utah, Amory Huntsman. We are about ready to get going here for what will be the start of a very hectic few days for the Lady Lancers. And very shortly we will be getting Coach Bill Engel up here, co-commentating with me as always, and being the fantastic co-commentator that he is. He did a fantastic job with Coach Tim Larson the other night whilst I was away, and it's good to be back. As the set coming in from Heinonen, the hit from Stepic is tipped back over the net, and again, and Addison Rollins trying to save that one, but not quite enough, and it's going to be first advantage to the Lady Rustlers. It's going to be number 24, Quincy Matthews, to serve for the Lady Rustlers. And Huntsman's hit there to Heinonen, just kind of put Heinonen in a bit of an odd spot, and Stepic unfortunately not being able to get it past the block of number 5, Sarah Mercevy. The set from Heinonen. Oh, the reach over there from number 5, Sarah Mercevy, and it gifts a point back to the Lancers. And we're going to see the first serve from the Lady Lancers tonight coming from number 9, Una Stepic. Serve comes in. And a reception error there from number 13, Hallie Reeder. And it means that the Lady Lancers are now 2-2 in this game, and we are now joined by Coach Bill Engel. Bill, how are we doing tonight?
Jamie, we're doing well. Glad to be here. Excited to watch our girls play.
And coming from your perspective, how was Friday night? the other night.
Friday night is fantastic. We had morning practice. Things went well, so kind of sets up the rest of the day to go well. And really excited to watch this Central Wyoming team. They're really good at the net. They've been, for the last 2 years, the 2 years I've been here, they have just been absolutely fantastic in the middle, and have some gals that are nationally ranked as far as blocks.
And now we just saw a great play from Amory Huntsman, just tipping it back over the net, playing some very easy volleyball, it looked, by the commentator's eye, but down on that court it is a completely different game. The set from Hayhinen, hit over from Amory Huntsman, and it is going to be tipped out of play by Central, and it now means that your Lady Lancers for 5-2 lead.
Yeah, great start for the girls.
The serve from Stepich, and that's a fantastic serve, and it's going to be the first ace of the game.
You know, she's really been on her game. You know, from service, she has done a great job all season long.
And she kind of fooled them earlier with a little bit of a floater to the front of the court there, and I think they're just trying to confuse Central Wyoming a little bit, and she's trying it again there, and this time not quite as successful.
No, she tried to maybe take a little bit too much off that one, came up short, but she has really done a fantastic job back there serving.
Rasmussen with the serve. Bit of a mishap there by the Lady Lance, but they recovered really well. The block comes up from Addison Rollins, and that is blocked. Kept in the air, but a bit of a mishap and a bit of a ball being a bit of a pinball there.
It was, and they just couldn't cover enough ground to get there. And just, you know, some early news that Central Wyoming actually lost their best middle. So I think it was the gal that was in the top 5 in blocks this season, and she, unfortunately, I guess at practice this week, came down with somebody's foot and it just tweaked her knee, and I think she tore her ACL, so she is out. So it'll be really interesting to see how this affects Central Wyoming moving forward.
And best of recoveries to that.
Absolutely.
To that athlete. You know, to get an injury like that is tough, and we share our sympathies with her as she recovers.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a fantastic athlete and really fun to watch the last couple of years.
And that was a good kill by Presley Ryan, number 8 for Central Wyoming. I think they're just exploiting some of the empty space that we had in backcourt.
You know they are. She didn't try to hammer the ball. She just placed it where it needed to go. Let's see if our girls can get back in system here.
The set from Hayhinen there. And a bit of an early jump there by Asante, and it almost seemed to catch herself off guard.
Yeah, just missed timing, and, you know, it's usually not one person's fault in that case, usually both people. They just got to communicate and get on the same page.
Certainly looked that Hayhinen probably didn't set that quite as high as I think she wanted to. And Amory Huntsman, wow, what a kill back down into the centre court, and that's quite a way to respond after that mishap.
No, it really was. I mean, you look at Clara, and maybe it was her fault. She didn't set it where Alana wanted, but she got the next play and she put it right on the money, and, you know, point to the Lancers.
And Annika Cantrell and Clara Hayhinen being checked out of the game for number 2 Brittany Huff and number 18 Lola Hughes, who is up to serve. The set coming in from Central. It's a fantastic dig there from Lola Hughes to deny the kill. And again, that was just a bit too hard. Straight at Lola Hughes there, and not a lot she could have done.
You know, she was really positioned in the right place. She was taking away the line. They came right at her and had her hands up, and just a little bit too much heat on that ball. But we're still up 1, and hopefully we can build on our lead here.
Serve coming in from Dennison for the Lady Rustlers. Just a little tip over there from Asante, trying to catch them off guard. It's going to be a set from Osmera, and the hit over by Huntsman, just kind of playing it directly to some of the Rustlers there, and they took full advantage. You
know, it was just one of those redirects where, you know, our girls were at the net and they were ready to block, and everybody was in position, but it was just a redirect of the ball, dropped it in a spot we weren't.
And we are now at a tied game at 8 apiece. Lola Hughes to set. Amory Huntsman hits, and it's been given out as the line judge. That was probably a bit too quick for my eyes. I couldn't really see where that fell, but
you know, it's tough to see it when the ball is hit that hard, but I would probably have to agree with her. That was in the right spot.
It's one thing that, having watched the away fixture at Western Nebraska and having watched the game so far, Amory Huntsman, she can, can she hit a ball down.
She really can. I didn't really see that one. They went cross court with it. It must have landed inside the line. You know, our girls thought it was out, but they didn't argue too much.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those of being in the position that we are. We couldn't really see where that landed on the court, but as you said rightly, there wasn't a lot of argument from our girls, so mustn't have been that bad of a call.
Nope.
And there, number 25 with a fantastic, Lena Whitney, with a fantastic block there to deny Amory Huntsman. And the ladies just need to get back into system, and 11-8 down, but it's certainly not beyond them.
Right. You know, this is what Central Wyoming has been known for, is their ability to defend the net. They just do such a fantastic job. I'm sure Coach Davis is something that she obviously emphasizes. And timeout to the Lancers, probably well timed.
Coach Hamilton just taking a timeout there, I think, just to give his girls rather a breather, and just to kind of get them back into system and really be comfortable with where they're at.
Oh, absolutely. You know, they went on a nice run, had a good start to the game, and now we've fallen behind. And again, sometimes it just takes a little while for a team to figure out their stride. And we know Central Wyoming is good at the net, and that's what they're starting to show.
And I must admit, from the Friday night last week, yourself and Tim Larson obviously taking the microphone and speaking to Tim after that game, I don't think he wants it back.
You know, Tim enjoyed his time up here, and he did a fantastic job. But I'll tell you what, we really missed you, and you do a fantastic job. And we just assume have you be the voice of the Lancers. So welcome back. And when we get a chance, hopefully, Jamie, you can tell us a little bit about golf. And you had a great team victory and a great personal victory as well.
Yeah, it was a good week in Lamar for the EWC men's golf team. And we are going to maybe talk about that when the set comes to its conclusion, as we get ready to get this set resumed. The set from Stepic there, having to act out of position, but she did very well considering. And now the Lady Lancers leaving that ball, and it is gone out, and getting that all-important point after the timeout.
Yep, absolutely. That was good strategy by our girls, and they made a great read and get a point, and now bang yourself back into this thing.
It's going to be number 20, Emery Huntsman, to serve. Sophomore from Spanish Fork, Utah, has been a very important part of this Lady Lancers team this year. It's been given us out there by the line judge. It's going to be another point for the Lady Lancers.
You know, strategically, it's just something that we need to be aware of. That's twice now they've come down the line right at Lola, and first one went through her hands, and this one she just made a great read, let the ball go.
Slight miss hit there by Emery Huntsman, and it's going to give the ball back to the Lady Rustlers as they lead 13-10 in this first set.
Yeah, you know, she won again for that floating serve, and you wonder if that's a little bit on the scouting report too, that, you know, if you can get to Eastern or get to Central Wyoming with that little floater.
Una doing well to dig the ball up there. And Brindley's hit there really caused some issues for Central, and Alana Asante there just denying the hit back over from the Lady Rustlers. And so far, the Lady Lancers just looking very much in system and trying to play their game.
You know, it's kind of that back and forth. Really looks like it's one of those games who's going to go on a run.
And that serve from Asante there, I think I had a couple of shouts of out by the Central Wyoming players, and nevertheless they decided to play it.
Yeah, lucky on our part, but now we've got to take advantage.
And Stepic up to head, and blocked there by number 25, Elena Whitney. I feel like that's going to be a sentence that we say maybe a little bit more than we would hope tonight.
Right, well, just you know, with their prowess at the net, we're going to have to be a little creative with our hits. You know, we're going to have to deke them in the middle and hit on the outside, or deke on the outside, hit in the middle, and maybe redirect the ball and not always spike it here.
Set coming in from Hughes, and Brittany Huff there, and she is denied at the net again by, this time, number 5, Sarah Mercivy.
Yeah, she just looks like a big, strong, athletic girl, and she's in the right places.
Take a little moment to recognise someone off the court, as Una Stepic there with a fantastic kill, but Vladina Ristic out with an injury, and they're just constantly throughout these games I see her shouting commands from the bench and really being one of those players that act almost as a secondary coach. And I think I've spoken to George Hamilton a lot about how he appreciates Vladina, and especially when she is on the court, she is such a leader that almost coach can just nod to her and she'll say the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. She's that little engine that could, you know, everything you want out of your libero. She's going to cover a lot of ground. She's going to talk. She's going to lead. You know, in basketball, kind of the equivalent of having a point guard.
Vladina Ristic always looking to give her teammates some very useful advice, and I think she does a very good job in that. She's very well respected within this Lady Lancers team, and she's a very integral part of this team, as the Lady Lancers get another point there for a foul on Central Wyoming, and it now ties the game up I believe, at 15-15. The scoreboard hasn't changed yet, but I thought that it was 14-15 at the start of that point.
You know, I don't think I can comment. I don't recall if that was 15-13 or not.
Well, we trust the... well, never mind. It's going to be 15-15 now.
It is. I think
just slightly long there by
I think
Central.
we'll trust those folks over there,
Yeah.
and I think 15-15 is probably correct. And again, this is a big game for our girls. If they win, that's going to put us in a tie with Central Wyoming for third place.
And slightly long there by Hahanen, but nevertheless, that's a slight deficit that they gave away, but they got it back very quickly, Coach.
They did. You know, now we're down 1, but we were down 4 before, and you know, again, good timeout by Coach Hamilton, get the girls back in system.
Matthews to serve for the Lady Rustlers. Osmera's dig, and just a slight miscommunication there by the Lady Lancers from the dig from Osmera to whoever Osmera was trying to get to set the hitters there, and it just kind of fell apart there. But
yeah, they just didn't have anybody in the right spot there. Lack of communication.
Hahanen going to Huntsman from backcourt, and out there by Huntsman, and that was just a difficult situation.
You know, it's twice in a row now, girls have got themselves out of system, and it's just something they got to work on. Get back in system here. Got only down 3, win this point, and you're only down 2 with the serve.
Hahanen to set, and the hit from Stepic. The block really took some of the oomph out of that hit. Now the set from Huntsman. Into the net by Cantrell, and it is going to be a 19-15 lead for the Lady Rustlers. And Coach, as much as we were saying that they got that lead, that deficit back, they've just given it straight back to them.
They did, and again, game is a game of runs, so hopefully we'll get back in this right now.
And it's going to be a set from Hahanen, just the tip over from Rollins, and that was well interpreted by Rollins. I think she knew that the block was going to go up and was quite happy to just let them hit it out of bounds.
You know, I think it's really well executed. For her to come around on that slide, do something different, and you're right. I mean, she just hit it off their block intentionally so it would go out of bounds.
I must say, one of the things that Central seem to do very well is they shout a lot from the bench. They've been very vocal about services today, whether they're in or out. And a bit of a pinball action there again, and it's fallen this time the way of the Lady Lancers.
You know, and I think a lot of that comes down to coaching. I'm sure Coach Davis, it's one of the things she's taught her girls, that you got to communicate the in and out and help the girls in the back row.
Service in from Una Stepic. That was just a very difficult one for Central to deal with. And Coach, you were just talking about runs, and the Lady Lancers have gone one on their own.
Yeah, and here we go. We got a timeout from the Rustlers, and you got to stay on those runs, and now we get that ATO again. So can our girls come out, put the serve exactly where Coach Hamilton wants it, make it difficult for the Rustlers, and see if we can tie the game?
I think a lot of this kind of since the restart after the first time out from Coach Hamilton, there was very much an emphasis on putting the pressure on Central. And Coach, I think that the Lady Lancers have done that fairly well.
They have. They just, need to find a little bit more continuity with what they're doing. We've got some unforced errors, a little bit of lack of communication once in a while, but other than that, it really seems like our girls are playing well.
So to run me through, Coach, obviously your pre-season is well and truly underway, and we're very, very closely coming up to the start of your season. How has your pre-season been?
It's been going well. Guys are playing hard, coming together, starting to show that we can do some things defensively. Offensively, we need to move the ball a little bit better, but that just comes with maturity, and it's kind of typical at a 2-year school where everybody's trying to score the ball and everybody wants to be a scorer. And as roles sort of emerge here, we'll start to move the ball a little bit better, get some better shots, and hopefully become a little bit more successful offensively.
Well, we will get a little bit more insight on that as the set comes to its conclusion. But right now we're ready to get this set back underway with Una Stepic. It was a good serve there to centre court and really caused the Rustlers some issues. And Amory Huntsman with a fantastic hit to the back court, and that is going to fall in, and it's a tied game.
She really came from that left side. She's right-handed, came across the court and put it right on the line.
Quite the first set performance by Amory Huntsman so far. The sophomore out of Spanish Fork, Utah. And to those watching at home, be sure to come here and pack out the gym for tomorrow night's fixture. we will be celebrating our sophomores in our sophomore night for the Lady Lancers to commemorate all the good work that they've done, and especially a lot of them were part of that infamous team that won the region last year for the first time in I think 20 years, Coach.
You know, I'm not so sure the number wasn't 30 years, but you know what a fantastic job they did last year, and it's we're just thrilled to have those girls here for a second year and have them on our campus.
Well, I'm certainly going to trust you as the athletic director to know that more than me. So, yes, what a fantastic achievement that was by the last year's Lady Lancers. And I know that they're going to be very determined to try and replicate that again this year and get themselves to the national tournament again.
No, absolutely. And right now, you know, they're right in the middle of the battle, third, fourth place, kind of at stake. And, you know, if they would win tonight, win tomorrow, you know, sort of hold on to third place and really give them nice seeding going into the tournament.
So Addison Rollins there just checking out for Alana Asante. I'm going to get that presence back at the net. And Olive Osmera just taking her time just to settle into this role here. She's had a couple of reception errors and a service error there, but so far, as a general, the system's been looking good for the Lady Lancers.
Yes, you know, we just got to settle down a little bit with our serving and make sure that we get the ball in play.
An awkward set there by Hayhinen, but Cantrell doing well to get it over and actually causing some issues for the Rustlers themselves. And bit of a double team there, Asante and Cantrell going up at the same time, just confusing the Lady Rustlers as to who was going to hit it.
Yeah, I think it's exactly right. As good as they are at the net, you know, a little bit of confusion like that, a little misdirection, and caught them off guard.
Clara Hayhinen and Annika Cantrell checking out for Brynley Huff and Nola Hughes, who's up to serve. The set at the net there. That's fantastic there by the Lady Rustlers, just almost playing EWC at their own game a second.
Yep, very similar. Just had that quick set in the middle and big hit and dropped it in. I mean, there was no doubt we were confused. I don't think we even got a hand on the ball.
I must say, from the camera, it's quite deceiving. It looks like there isn't a lot of people here, but trust me, there is. On this near side bleachers, we have a lot of people here, actually, and it's so nice to see that people are coming out and supporting their Lady Lancers and supporting their local college.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the town of Torrington does such a fantastic job of coming out and supporting all of the athletic events, so we just feel like we're blessed to be here.
A dig from Osmera, set from Hughes. The hit by Huntsman, and that had to be retrieved by the Lady Rustlers. It's going to come in again from Brynley Huff. She preempted that block there, but didn't quite maybe see the Lady Rustler that was right behind the blockers. And a bit of pinball action again, as we've seen so often so far in this set.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. You know, we got about a system, and somehow the ball just got where it needed to go, and they were able to hit that spike, win the first game here, or win the first set.
And just like that, the set's ended. I can't lie, I didn't think that was the set point, but so the Lady Rustlers take the first set there, and quite a visible disdain there from Brynley Huff. I think maybe that set not really going quite how we expected it to.
You know, we had runs there where we looked really good and thought we were the better team and did some great things, but you know, it just kind of got away from us. That last run belonged to Central Wyoming, and one of those deals where we need to be able to break that run.
So, Coach, you had a scrimmage here against South Dakota School of Mines. Just run me through how that went for you.
We did. We scrimmaged them on Wednesday. They're a really good team. They're out of the Division II team, out of the RMAC. And they came in, really ran their stuff, their offense well. They were pretty crisp. It took us a little while to get going. They had a little point guard who was very talented and gave us some issues. And they beat us in the first half by 13. And second half, we seemed to settle down, defend a little bit better. We were able to turn them over, and I think we won the second half by 10 points.
Well, it's a good preseason run out for your boys, and it's a good look at this season. I mean, I was here kind of watching the game in the bleachers, and I must admit the difference from last year. We're moving very quickly, and you know, your boys are doing a very good job. So congratulations to you on some fantastic coaching.
Well, I appreciate that, and we look forward to getting going with the season. We'll head it up to Spearfish, South Dakota on Sunday, and we'll have a scrimmage with Black Hills State.
Just got some stats in here for this game, and really it's a tale of errors as currently looking at it. The Lady Lancers accumulating, what's that, 15 errors, if my maths isn't incorrect.
That looks correct.
Oh no, it might even be more. It might be 19 errors. With the service errors, I didn't count those.
With the service errors, it looks like we had 19 errors there.
Yeah, and you know, for the Lady Rustlers, it's a game which is very different. It's, well, to be fair, it's not actually that far away. It's 13 errors, but it's still, you know, it is a few less. But I mean, one of the main ones there coming from services, Coach.
No, absolutely, and it's one of those things where we do have girls that serve the ball very well, but you know, maybe we get a little bit excited or get too far under it. I couldn't really help with technique on that one, but it does seem like we hit more serves a little bit long. We had a couple where we were really trying to hit floaters and just came up a little bit short on those.
And that seems to be kind of the one so far, is the floaters, something that certainly on the last game I commentated on, which was LCCC, we seemed to do that very well and caught them off guard a lot of times through that. Something that I think maybe haven't quite been as clinical so far, but we've still got hopefully at least another 3 sets to go, and hopefully all going the way of the Lady Lancers.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as, you know, those little floating serves, or, you know, if you're really going for a corner or spot, you know, becomes efficiency, right? I mean, just same thing as golf, you know, hauling away and trying to hit one over the trees. If you can do it once, that's fantastic. But if it's only 1 out of 8, that's probably not so good. So same thing with the serves. You know, if you're going to get, I would guess, 9 out of 10, that's probably okay. But if you're only going to get 1 out of 6, maybe we need to go a different direction on what you're trying to do.
I like that analogy from you, Coach. I mean, it's something that we talk a lot about, is course management, and you know, quite exactly as you've said, if you've got a shot that you know that you can pull off, but you're only going to pull it off once every 6 times, you know, is it really the shot you should be hitting?
Yeah, exactly. And our girls have the ability to do this, and just want to see them be a little more consistent here, and I think we can get Central Wyoming at the end.
So second set getting underway here with a serve from Lola Hughes to backcourt. There's a good dig there from Olive Osmer. It was a bit awkward, and that set even was a bit awkward for Brindley Huff, and fortunately just always backpedaling and never could quite get over it.
Right, it's one of those things where he got out of system, and Brindley was trying to maybe do a little bit too much with it, and she just needed to pop it over the net, just keep it in play.
First point, first blood to the Lady Rustlers. And that set cross court was fantastic, and even that block though was great to deny Amory Huntsman there, and even that block there I think was, they got up well and blocked the ball. It's just fallen unfortunately the other side of the line.
Right, no, that was a good sequence for our girls, and you know, sometimes you do everything right and it still doesn't work out. You just got to move on.
And that's a big thing, and that's just a service error there from Rasmussen, their second on the game. But it's one of those things, Coach, of, you know, managing what you can manage and just letting the other stuff be. Is, you know, if you can't manage exactly what the ball's going to do through the air or where the ball's going to bounce, you know, there's not a lot more that you can do.
No, absolutely. Do what you can do, control the controllables. You know, then don't get caught up in the emotion of the game. You know, that's the thing. That's, you know, for the fans and the parents and everybody else can get caught up in the emotion. But, you know, from the coaching standpoint, you want your players to control the emotion and not get caught up in that part of it. Just be a bit more analytical.
Yeah, we certainly saw a lot of emotion at the WNCC game. Kind of, it is a rivalry game, and it's one of those that's always fun to kind of see how different people react to that. But we definitely had some excitable people in the crowd at WNCC, and you know, it's nice to see because it applies a little bit of pressure, and it really kind of takes it to the girls of, okay, well, what can you do under pressure?
Right. And again, you know, can the girls control their emotions, not get caught up in that, and just do the thing, take care of business, basically. That's all they got to do.
It's been a good little sequence of points here for the Lady Lancers. Just kind of getting those 2 points that they lost early back, and Brindley Huff there almost looked like she hit that with a bunch of topspin, and just as soon as that came off of number 13 Reeder's arms, it was just destined to go out of the doors.
You know, it just seemed like a fantastic set. She was really able to get on top of the ball. It did look like she had some topspin on it.
That one there, again, it's going to be a reception error for number 13 Reeder, and maybe that you were just saying about controlling your emotions and not letting it get to you, maybe just getting inside of her head there with that serve from Alana Asante.
Yeah, you know, and she's, you know, the libero there for Central Wyoming's got a pretty big knee brace on, and maybe she doesn't cover ground as fast as she used to. Maybe that's kind of what our girls are going after right now.
Oh, and that's a difficult one from Alana Asante, because I would debate that wasn't that bad of a serve at all, just a little bit too long.
You know, It was really a good serve. It really died at the end, dipped down, and looked like it was going to catch a piece of the line, but it must have floated just over.
Oh, and that's a good recovery there from Una Stepic to kind of save Anne-Marie Huntsman from a reception error. But nevertheless, number 8 for the Lady Rustlers, Presley Ryan, just killing the ball, and it's very much a topsy-turvy game of you take the lead and I'll take the lead.
Yeah, a little bit back and forth. That was a good example. I mean, Una makes a fantastic play, but we're out of system, and then Central stays in system, and we have to pay the price.
Hughes with a great set over her head. And there, just Addison Rollins just trying to make sure that stayed on the Rustlers' side of the net. And again, just a hit directly at Hughes there, and not a lot more she could have done.
No, she kept it in play, and it's one of those deals where the girls just need to pop it up in the air and get it back over.
It's going to be Dennison for the Lady Rustlers to serve. It's a good serve to centre court, but well dug up as well. It's going to be a tip on, I think it was number 25, Lena Whitney, and coach just talked to me. She's clearly been very much a presence at that net for the Lady Rustlers.
Yeah, she's one of, I suppose, probably about 2 or 3 girls that are at the net constantly causing havoc. And, Brinley did a nice job with the angle she had, just hit it off the block and went out of bounds.
Through that first set, the Rustlers getting 6 block assists there. Una Stepic just almost looking to lose her footing there, and that's an unfortunate point to lose, but again, it's just getting back into system and getting back into their way of playing.
Yeah, I think she just misjudged that ball. Usually a ball she's going to come up with.
Hayden to set, Stepic to hit. And the Rustlers did get in the way of that. Set going to come in from Hayden again to Cantrell, and Cantrell just mishits it and ends up in the net. Yeah, it's going to be an 8-5 lead for the Lady Rustlers.
Yeah, it looked like a good set. Everything went well. We were in system, and Annika just mishit the ball.
Presley Ryan to serve for the Rustlers. And Osmera there going to have a reception error, and been a couple of times there where Osmera has just, I don't know, maybe misjudged the ball flight or not been able to quite get into position quick enough.
Strategically, it's interesting. They misplayed one over here on the left side, and then they went back to it. We'll see if they go back to Olive right here. Sure enough.
They did. It's going to be Hayhinen to set and Cantrell to hit, and the hit coming over from the setter there and kind of catching the Lancers off guard, and it's going to take a 5-point deficit in favour of the Lady Rustlers. And Coach Hamilton there taking a timeout, and I was about to ask you, in fact, Coach, maybe is it a time for a timeout and just to kind of regather themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Good timing for that. And while we have this break, Jamie, why don't you tell us about the golf team and your big victory?
Yeah, so obviously we went down to Laramie. No, we didn't. We went to Lamar. Went to Lamar, Colorado for the Lamar invite last week, and that first day was probably one of the most difficult we've played this season. About 40 mile an hour winds consistently and kind of blowing up to 50. It was a difficult game, but myself, Ben Brown and Troy Young doing really well to kind of get as good of a score as we could have got. And after the first day to be 11 over, it sounds a bit silly, but to be 11 over after the first day and actually having top 3 players at 5 over was fantastic as a collective. And that second day was probably a little bit calmer. Wind was definitely not there, but at the same time they tucked some pins, and it was another tricky day, and really had to grind at times. And the boys did really well, and the team got a really good result, and I was obviously very happy to come away with the win, and second collegiate win, which is lovely to say.
Well, congratulations. We'll look forward to hearing more about that.
And the serve there being the ace. And Coach, losing that point after the timeout, how do we feel like that's going to affect the Lady Lancers?
It's one of those deals. If you're Central Wyoming, you're thrilled because you got the win off the ATO. For our girls, you got to move on from it and just, hey, we got to get the next one here. There's a floater. It's
going to be a floater. And well dealt with there by Osmera. And that was slammed straight at Osmera, and I'm not really sure there's a lot more she could have done with that.
Well, it just kind of got on in a hurry and really ate her up. And, they go to that middle set. it's tough for us to have girls everywhere to block. It's just, I think, sure it's just a read. If you look over at Coach Davis, she's hiding her fingers behind their notebook over there, giving signals of where she wants the ball to go. So
they go back court again, and line judge gives that as out, and it's slightly too long, and we've seen that multiple times from both teams so far. Maybe just something that both teams can consider, kind of looking towards the other sets.
I think our girls are doing a really good job of starting to judge the ball on the back line there.
Bit of an awkward hit there.
Yeah, we've got him out of system here.
Now to try and take advantage of it is Cantrell, and hits it out of bounds, and just unfortunately falling on the wrong side of the line.
You could see she was really eager to get at that ball, and I think she had a plan. I think she knew the line was open. She just couldn't put it inbounds. Great dig there by Olive.
And that's going to be a... Oh, it was given as an out on the line judge, but that was definitely a tip out.
Yeah, I think the ball just caught the antenna going over.
Oh, okay, I did not see that. And they set there from Hahanen for Rollins. She did well to kind of try and interpret it. And the touch off of Cantrell, and the Lady Lancers just falling to a 15-6 deficit here.
Yeah, you got to think 1 or 2 more points, and Coach Hamilton will take his last time out.
Serve to come in, and just getting over the net. And those are ones that you can't really argue with, because you could debate for luck, you could debate for skill in terms of just getting it over the tape, and it is going to be another timeout here by Coach Hamilton.
Yeah, our girls need to regroup here, get on the same page. And, when things go right, they go right. And when they go wrong, they sometimes really go wrong. And, for Central Wyoming, she hammers the serve. It hits the net, really catches a lot of tape, but crawls over. And not a lot we could do with that one.
Not at all. And it's one of those of just regaining your composure a little bit. And, you can be frustrated at the situation you're in, but it's about what are you going to do coming out of this timeout? What are you going to do to kind of get yourself back into it? And I think the Lady Lancers really just need to prioritise sticking to their system and playing their game.
That's correct. Maybe get a little lighter on our feet, a little more movement. Some people use the term boxer's feet, just have active feet and be able to go get the ball. Well, Jamie, I'm anxious to hear more about that first day having to play in the wind. So did you guys have to make some adjustments, play a lot of low irons? A lot
of that game, I mean, personally for me, playing in very high wind is quite stereotypical for where I live. Back in England, we live on the coast, and that's a very common trait. Is very windy days, and I found that for me personally, actually trying to hit low balls doesn't actually help me at all. It actually, in fact, hinders me. So I very much prioritise just playing my game and hitting the shots as I normally would, but maybe just taking a few more clubs and making sure that we're actually getting it to the green. But it's one of those of, I think the Americans struggled, and you look at the team scores on that first day, and the British people in the team actually did far better than the Americans. Now, that's not to say that the Americans played bad, but I think it's just about familiarity. It's very common back at home for it to be that windy, and all of the English kids live on the coast, so they're all very used to it.
Oh, absolutely. And when we get to the end of the set, we'll let you tell more about it.
It's going to be a service error there by Central Wyoming. Just interesting to see Olive Osmer has been checked out of the game there for Rachel Macy, maybe just giving her a breather, letting her kind of regain her composure and get herself back into that position.
Yeah, absolutely. She had some fantastic moments early, and then had a couple of balls she had some trouble with, and get Rachel out there and give her a chance to see if she can cover some ground for the Lancers.
This is a situation of needing to maybe limit damage as the Lady Rustlers go to a 19-7 lead.
Well, let's see what it's these types of things, do we have a little bit of moxie, and will we battle here?
That was a great dig as well by Rachel Macy, and to get that point, I think the Lancers, I certainly saw the look of on Amory Huntsman's face, and I think that was a bit of surprise at that they managed to get the point, but nevertheless it is a point on the board.
It's probably a good lesson, as good as Central Wyoming is at the net, got to be able to adjust to it. Can't always go through it. Sometimes you got to go around it.
Oh, and that serve really dipped there at the end by Lola Hughes. That was fantastic. Just getting it back over the net by Brittany Huff and not quite being able to deal with it there, and it just seemed like it took a little bit of a nick off of one of the blockers, and it was a bit awkward for Rachel Macy.
You know, it was. They got a piece of it. You know, that changes the direction. You know, Rachel's reaching for it, and, you know, it was just in a spot she wasn't going to get to it.
Serve coming in from Rasmussen. And another awkward one there to deal with. And again, almost looking like a bit of lack of communication there between Stepic and Huntsman, and just being a little bit, just finding themselves in some awkward positions at times.
Yeah, you know, Central Wyoming's doing such a great job in the serve right now.
And it's another situation there of just kind of being out of system, and it looked a little bit strange there. Una Stepic and Amory Huntsman kind of switched places just before the serve came in, and that almost looked to get them out of system itself instead of kind of stick with what they had.
Yeah, I wonder if they were just trying to confuse Central Wyoming and where the ball was going to go and maybe who they were trying to hit it at. But, you know, it's one of those things. Confidence is a dangerous thing. You know, too much, too little will really hurt you. And, you know, right now it looks like we don't quite have enough, and Central Wyoming is really feeling the stride.
23-8 in this second set. Well, Coach, I think it's fair. Well, and that's nearly a commentator's curse. I nearly said something about Rasmussen, about her serving being so good, and the gods clearly just preempting what I was about to say.
Well, you put a jinx on her for sure.
What can I say? That Central Wyoming have been looking fantastically in system, and I certainly wouldn't hope for a commentator's curse on that. Well,
you know, and there you go. I mean, they are doing a good job. They're moving the ball. They're putting it where they want. And, you know, they are really bringing the hammer right now at the net.
And their hissing has just been very impressive so far, and it's just seemed to really catch some of the Lady Lancers off guard. And I think here, just get a few more points and just kind of build a little bit of momentum before the end of this set. As Brittany Huff's hit, it falls inbounds, and it's going to be the end of the second set there, and it's 25-9 in that set, and that is going to be the biggest margin that they've lost in a set by this season so far. So, Coach, how can they bounce back from this?
You know, it's one of those things you just have to regroup. You know, you can't fix it. It's not, you know, you can't go back and play it again. You can't do any of those things. And you know, as cliche as it is, you just have to move on. You have to have a new plan here. You know, you just adjust and you overcome. You know, and that's your toughness, that's your moxie, that's your mojo. It's all those little cliches that coaches have, but it's the truth. And, you know, are you tough enough to move on and then come up with a new strategy here? Because we know they're really good at the net. You can't let that frustrate you. You just have to have a different strategy.
Wow. We are 2-0 for the Lady Rustlers in this game. And so far, the Lady Lance has been looking very good in patches, but then also in other patches, maybe looking just a little bit out of system. And Central Wyoming have done a very good job of kind of getting us, or taking advantage of us when we've been out of system.
No, absolutely. And I think they can feel the momentum swinging their way, and they are really taking advantage of it. You know, credit to Coach Davis. These girls are not sitting back on their heels, even though they've had a significant lead along the way. Well, as we move on here, Jamie, why don't you tell us a little bit more about playing in the wind? I mean, I'm sure our listeners are really fascinated by that. If you didn't change any clubs, I mean, how much does it matter if you got a 40-mile-an-hour wind at your back? Does that change anything? You're going to hit the ball further depending on club choice. If you're hitting it into the wind, we would all think that you're going to hit a low iron, or if you've got a crosswind, something that's coming across the fairway. So how do you handle those situations?
It's one of those of, I think you've just got to be very familiar with your own game and realise what it is exactly that kind of benefits you. Certainly from my perspective, as I said, I don't like to change a lot in my golf game. I think if the wind picks up, I just try and play with it, but maybe take a few more clubs if we're into wind. And a lot of the time what I've noticed over here is obviously being at altitude, it flies further anyway, and if you're downwind, it seems to almost push the ball down a lot, and you know, you end up hitting a lot lower shots, which then becomes very difficult to stop the ball on the green. So it's one of those of, you know, there was a lot of compensating needing to be done, but almost in the moment you kind of look at it and kind of go, okay, well, this is what I think needs to happen, this is what I think I need to do, and if it works, fantastic, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And you just look to bounce back. Really, when you're playing in those kinds of winds, you've just got to limit yourself to, you know, playing the best shot that you can in that scenario, and just really trying to remain focused.
So did you have more issues with the short game in the wind, or I guess if you looked around, you said the Americans were more affected. Did you think that they had more difficulty in the short game playing some irons into the green than they did off the tee?
I think for the American point of view, I think it probably would have been off the tee and kind of approaches into green. Okay. In terms of chipping and stuff, there is definitely a consideration, and even putting. You know, when you're 40 mile an hour kind of putting back into wind, it's amazing how much actually that does have an effect on the roll of the ball, and it is definitely a difficult one to manage. And if you're not exposed to it a lot, which I imagine quite a few of the Americans on our teams maybe aren't, especially not in the same way that we are back in England, you know, it's something that you've just got to learn. And it's.
So did they dry out the course quite a bit that day with that heavy wind?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I must admit, like, Lamar was playing in fantastic condition, and I thought that actually it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. You know, it didn't dry it out as much as I thought. You know, the guys at Spreading Antlers Golf Course did a really good job of setting that course up that day, and I think being accommodating with some of the pin positions, being a little bit more generous than they were on the second day.
Well, back to action here.
Back to action, and Amory Huntsman with a hit over the net, retrieved by the Lady Rustlers, and this is a nice little rally to get us started on this set. As Huntsman, the block really taking some of the venom out of that hit. Brindley doing well to try and keep it up, but not quite being able to get her hand on it under it enough. And again, the Lady Rustlers taking a 1-0 lead after the first point.
You're right, Brindley just couldn't get the ball back up in the air enough for somebody else to get there, but you know, good rally, just good collegiate volleyball there.
The set from Hughes coming in for Amory Huntsman, and the hit there causing all sorts of problems for the Lady Rustlers, and it is going to be a point on the board, and that's quite nice to see. And, you know, it was a very nice rally in that first point, which I think they would feel a little bit gutted to have lost, but to come back and to win that second point is huge.
Yeah, let's just see if Amory can keep things going here.
Good serve to centre court there by Amory. And the point going to the Lady Lancers there, and unfortunately I do not know enough about volleyball to understand what rule they gave against the Lady Rustlers there, but
I think we had 23 for Central Wyoming in the net.
Ah, okay. Huntsman to serve it in. Seems to be a lot more emphasis since giving up a few of those service errors to the floaters. A lot more emphasis on backcourt serves as Brindley Huff kills it straight down. And the Lady Lancers taking a 3-1 lead here at the start of this third set, and it's the way that they would have wanted to start out.
You know, it looks like Eastern or Central Wyoming's a little bit on their heels right now, and maybe they're kind of resting on their laurels.
And all of a sudden, as soon as I mention about that backcourt serve, Amory Huntsman decides to play a little floater to the front, and that's a great hit down by Hump.
It looked like we were going to be out of system, but we got back in it. Una had a good hit.
Oh, Asante really reaching for that one and doing a really good job. And Brindley Huff doing well there to block and to really get that well-earned point for the Lancers.
Another good rally by both teams, and it's good to see our girls. You know, they just kind of seemed like they had things going their way, even though it went back and forth. It just seemed like we were a little bit more in system there.
Huntsman's coming with a serve, and it is over the back of the court.
You know, you can see it just coming off the hand, can't you? I mean, it's not too tough to judge some of those. As soon as they hit it, you can tell it's going to be long.
Serve coming in there, dug up by Osmera. Una Stepic doing really well there to get it back cross court and causing some issues there for number 13 for Central. And Una Stepic there, the hit blocked by number 5.
Well, that's going to be even tougher for Una or any of our hitters. You know, if the set's a little bit further away from the net, you know, with as good as Central Wyoming is at the net, you know, we got to get a little more creative with it. Oh, great serve by Central.
It's a fantastic serve and dug up really well. And that almost looks a little bit desperate there from number 5. And certainly from the outlook of it, no real need to kind of get the ball back over the net there.
No, I think she misjudged it. She thought she was going to be able to just hammer the ball down, and she just had to reach a little bit further, put it back in play, and we were right in system.
And the Lancers doing really well there to kind of preempt that and to really try and take advantage of a out of system Rustler's side, and that's a good dig from Hughes. And Una Stepic there using some really good interpretation of how the game was going. You know, she just put the ball straight back over the net instead of trying to set it up, and I think that was the right call.
I do too. I mean, I think you catch them off guard. It's almost like in American football where you punt on third down. They catch them off guard. They're not waiting for it.
Dug up there, and some of these serves just really making it difficult for the Rustlers, and I think Una Stepic there looking at the line and maybe regretting her choice to go for it.
Yeah, you know, probably could have made a better choice on that one. Caught us. I guess we just weren't ready for that one, so we'll move on. Still up 2. Big set for us right now. Let's keep this thing going.
Hayley Reeder with the serve in. Stepic down and kills the ball, and that's exactly what she would have needed.
And you just look at the difference there, you know, where we're really in system, and, you know, the ball's right at the net for her to hit it. She's on top of it. And, you know, as good as Central Wyoming is, they couldn't do much with her there. And, you know, sometimes when she's a little further from the net, that's when Central Wyoming is really good. And, you know, we got to get creative again when we hit the ball.
Lola Hughes and Brindley Huff checking out of the game. And it's Jaylee Critchfield and Annika Cantrell in. And just a bit of a mishap there by Quincy Matthews for the Lady Rustlers, and all of a sudden it's an 8-4 lead, Coach Engel.
You know, and Una did a great job there. Again, a little creativity at the net. She didn't just try to hammer it. She placed it down the line, and Central Wyoming was not in place for it.
Jaylee Critchfield with a serve to midcourt. And that's a good dig there by Osmera. Just get it back over by Stepic. And it's been given the way of the Lady Rustlers, and we saw the action by the line judge. He couldn't quite see it.
Yeah, you know, Una tried to push it down the line. It looked like the right call.
It did look like the right call. I think it did fall the wrong side of the line for the Lancers. Just in the net there, and that was a bit of an awkward dig for Una Stepic.
Yeah, she got a little bit too much on it. It was a serve that came in pretty hot, and, you know, it ended up in that awkward spot right off the net, and our girls just couldn't handle it.
Serve is long of the court there. Cameron Dennison there with the first service error of her night.
Again, our girls doing a really good job in the back line, just reading balls.
Una Stepic to serve, and straight into the net.
You know, had a little dip on that serve, like she had a little top spin on it, and then, you know, just dropped a little bit too soon.
Certainly looked like she got a little bit too over it. Lady Lancers still with a 9-7 lead as the ball comes in. The set from Critchfield, slightly too low for Amory Huntsman, and it is straight into the tape.
Yeah, again, she didn't have many choices. She was trying to tip it over, but Central Wyoming was ready for it, got their hands on it, and came back, fell on our side.
Serve to come in from the Lady Rustlers. Set from Critchfield. That was a bit better that time, and Amory Huntsman could really get over it, and just tipped out by the Central Wyoming Rustlers.
Yeah, really nice sequence for our girls. You know, the whole pass set spike, and it was on the money.
I must admit, when we do look in system, when we do look in our flow, we do look very impressive.
We do. It's just about consistency right now.
Look very comfortable when we are in that mode. And Olive Osborough going long of the court.
Yeah, she's a strong server, and, you know, I'm not sure technique-wise what she needs to change, but, you know, when she's on, she's really on, and sometimes even when she's off, it looks good. It's just a little bit too strong.
That's out of bounds. Very rare that we see that it missed right of the court, but nevertheless, it's a point for the Lancers.
Yeah, you know, something Coach Davis, I'm sure, has in her scouting report, because you can see her over there giving signs, and they must have wanted to go right down the line. They were looking for something, or thought maybe all our girls were leaning to the middle on that.
Serving from Hughes. The hit by Rasmussen was denied at the net. And Huntsman did a really good job of keeping that still in the air, and Rasmussen doing a good job to kill the ball down into the Lancer side, and it's going to be 11-10.
You know, it's just, again, Central Wyoming very good at the net. And, you know, those little tip balls up there, you know, we've got to be able to get our hands on, but you got to be ready to dig them as well, because, you know, their girls are going to come up and hit and tip, and they're very adept at it.
Quincy Matthews here to serve. Nola Hughes just setting that a bit too close to the net.
Yeah, it came off her hands a little bit awkward. You can tell, you know, you just put your hitter in a tough spot there because she can't swing at it. She's just trying to get a piece to get it over and just couldn't quite do it.
Well, Coach, one of the things that's really nice to see when we come to these games are the amounts of athletes, student athletes that do come and support their fellow student athletes. And, you know, I can see certainly a couple of your basketball guys. I can see a couple of the golfers. And how important do you think that is, just to kind of have that unity?
You know, it's great. I mean, we had it last year, you know, as our season got going with men's basketball. You know, we always had the rodeo kids in here and the golfers, and obviously the women's basketball team and the volleyball team. And it's always fantastic to see. We love seeing our guys here and the women's basketball team, and like you said, the golfers. And, you know, it's just such a great community here and tight-knit group for sure. So fantastic campus to be a part of.
12 apiece as we get this. Oh, we've had a bit of a pause in the set.
Yeah, looks like, you know, maybe she's got a little blood, or yeah, the trainer's putting on some gloves, so usually maybe she got a little scrape on her leg. Doesn't look to be anything too serious. They'll get her bandaged up, get her back in quickly. So what's next for the EWC golf team?
So your EWC men's golf team are going to be traveling down to Newton, Kansas on Tuesday to be getting ready for the national preview, which is kind of our first major test of the year. It's going to be a squad of 5 guys plus 1 substitute who unfortunately can't play in this event, but will be there kind of almost as an assistant coach to Coach Zach Smith.
So you say a preview, so does this mean this like a practice round that you get to go out and just play on the course, get used to the course for the national tournament?
Yeah, so it acts exactly like that. It just is a chance for us to go and see the course. You know, I think everyone that is going didn't play in the national last year, certainly from my own point of view. Freddie, who is also going, Freddie Dancox, he went as the substitute last year, so he's seen the course, he understands what it's about, and he'll get a chance to play it this time. But it's a chance for us just to kind of get to grips with the course and really do a bit of a scout report of the course before we head there for nationals in May.
So you get to do a little recon, find out a little intel, and know exactly what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, exactly that. And you get to go up against a lot of the, you know, big nationally ranked schools. You know, we're not sure who's going to be there exactly as of yet, but you know, you're very much expecting to see the likes of Indian Hills, who are ranked number 1 right now, and a lot of the independent players who are ranked highly in the nation. So it's a good chance for the men's golf team just to kind of see what kind of competition they're going to be up against come May.
Oh, absolutely. We look forward to hearing more about that. And looks like they got all bandaged up, and we're back to action here.
And just the point after that stoppage there, going to the Lady Rustlers, kind of managed to get the Lady Lancers out of system, and again took advantage of it, as they have been doing very well so far this evening. But very well done to kind of keep that out of the net. It's in by the Lady Rustlers, and it's going to be a 2-point lead.
You know what? Pretty good job down by the line judge not to move. I think that's how they train them, is stay exactly where you are. You got to get hit by the ball because you'll be able to see where it is. So.
Which, when you see how hard these girls hit it, that's quite a frightening prospect.
Oh, absolutely.
I unfortunately had to endure the line judging, and it's something, I guess, how Tim felt about the commentary. I do not really want it back.
Fair enough. It is not an easy job to do.
Especially when you make a questionable call, or, you know, one that you perceive was in but maybe might have been out, and you get Una Stepic, number 9, from not from Belgrade, Serbia. She is from Kruševac, Serbia, and she doesn't like the decision that you gave, and that's quite an intimidating thing to endure. But we laugh and joke about it now. It's one of those things that Una and I kind of just really get on well about, and if I'm being honest, I'm quite thankful for that.
Yeah, she's no doubt a very competitive young lady, and we'd go ahead and classify her as a Type A competitor for sure.
And just a bit of a confusion there for the Lady Rustlers, and it's ended up putting the ball in the net. It's going to be a point for the Lancers. That was a good point. Bit of back and forth, and really good job for the Lancers to stay in system and to really stay with their mojo. And Brynley Huff getting up in time, and she's going to get that solo block. Read that perfectly and made sure that she got the point back for the Lancers.
Yeah, it's really good to see our girls playing well after a disappointing second set.
It's nice to see the night and day difference between the two sets, and Lola Hughes doing a really good job there of keeping it up, but just a little bit awkward there for Brynley Huff to try and interpret, and really not a lot she could have done.
No, it was a really tough play. It was a well-placed ball by Central Wyoming. We're diving to get it. Ball's going to hit off the net, and got to have some really quick hands to handle that.
Emery Huntsman there with the dig, just ended up going back over the net. That's a good recovery by Lola Hughes.
Great job by Lola there.
Emery Huntsman there, just a little bit of pinball up at the net, and net violation there called on number 23.
Yeah, great job by our girls, just keeping the ball alive, playing it at the net, not backing down, coming up with a big point.
Well, who is going to be the first to that infamous 20 points? As Critchfield comes in to serve.
Great serve.
That's a fantastic serve. That just really started dipping at the end. Critchfield to set. Annika Cantrell to hit. Giving us out. Well, certainly the line judge gave it as out, but I believe that the official was giving it as in, and it is a point for the Lancers.
Yep, good overrule by him. It looked like it was going to be our point, and sometimes your angles aren't great.
I think that would have been one of those as well. She was flinching for the ball,
yeah,
rightly so, coming at her. So I think the officials did a good job of overruling there.
They did.
That's out.
Well, there you go again. We just talked about it, and their line judge just holds his ground. He gets drilled in the stomach, and he didn't even flinch.
Absolute warrior. He's been quite a common feature here at these games. We see him quite a lot line judging here, and I must say he's always been a very good line judge. I feel like he's not got a lot wrong.
I agree with you. He's very stoic and just does his job, and we're really happy to have these folks.
A timeout here called by Coach Davis. And for the Lady Rustlers here, they just need to, or they will want to regroup, but for the Lady Lancers, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. They've been very good so far in this third set, especially after bouncing back after that disappointing second set.
Yeah, the all-important ATO here, and if our girls come out, get a point, like you talked about earlier, that, if you can get to 21st, it seems to make a really big difference here. It'd be great to see our girls get to a 2016 and see if we can close them out.
And both teams back on the court, and we're going to be ready to get going very soon after that timeout. It's going to be Jaylee Critchfield, the freshman, to serve here.
Jaylee's done a nice job.
Some of her serves have been absolutely fantastic tonight so far. There's a good dig there by Olive Osmerer. And Una Stepic there doing well to interpret that and just to get it back over the net instead of trying to slam it maybe into the blocker.
Great rally here.
Critchfield and Huntsman coming from back court. The Rustlers doing well to recover. And Cantrell back over the net. And again, another good recovery by Matthews of the Rustlers. The set from Critchfield. The hit by Cantrell. Giving us in. And it's a good point for the Lady Lancers to win.
Some disagreement there from Central Wyoming. From our standpoint, we could absolutely see that looked in from us. They have a different angle over there on the bench. Maybe they saw something different, but big point for our girls.
And that infamous point after the timeout. Oh, just got a little bit of a hook spin on that one. And ended up going out of play.
Yeah, she was doing so well. I don't know if she hit 3 or 4 there, and then she tried to do a little bit too much with that one.
Well, I must admit, if you can hit 4 or 5 good serves and then just have one bad one, I think you can be forgiven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Olive Osmera digging that for Critchfield. Then gets it to Stepic. And that's going to be a difficult one for the Rustlers to get back. And they in fact couldn't. And there is that golden 20 for the Lancers.
Absolutely. That all-important 20 got there first. And let's see if we can finish this out now.
One of the very interesting things to see on this stat sheet in comparison to some of the other games that we've covered, there's been a lot of tied scores and a lot of lead changes, really kind of showing how even this game has been at times. Obviously that second set really being the exception.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of really competitive games. Well, 2018, not the best point by us, but let's just see if we can regroup here, get back in system, and get to 21.
Certainly looked like a bit of confusion, especially from Una Stepic, and maybe some in the crowd as to why that point was given at that time, but nevertheless he gave it. And certainly from a golfer's perspective, and that one definitely looked out by Annika Cantrell.
Yeah, a little bit too much on it. It was really a good set by Critchfield there.
Certainly from a golfer's point of view, maybe I can see, or I can kind of say, oh, well, it was on the other side of the court, so of course that seems reasonable, but maybe that's just me being ill-educated about volleyball, and the Lancers doing really well there to get that back over the net. Oh, and there just Critchfield's touch on the ball just really sending Stepic the wrong way, and the ladies have been doing a very good job to get back into system there and almost trying to get Central back out of system.
And they did, and here we go.
Amory Huntsman down with the kill.
Fantastic. Our girls are back in system. They end up with that little deke in the middle. They set to the outside, and Central Wyoming just doesn't have blockers there.
And that was one of those. It was very much pinball throughout a lot of that point, but very well contested by both sides. And as you said, Coach, many a time, it's a college volleyball point.
Absolutely.
And just the reach over there by Annika Cantrell.
Yeah, she must have got a little bit of the net or reached too far over. But 21-20, I mean, we're still in a good spot here. Let's break this side out, get another point, and only 3 left to go if we do that.
I'm fairly sure I saw some fingertips from Annika Cantrell just creep over the side of that net. And number 5 there, Mersvey, doing well to kill it back on the Lancers side, and it's 21 apiece.
Yeah, just again, Central Wyoming doing a really, really good job in the service game, and we got to be able to not just return it, but put the ball back in play so we can stay in system. It's a little bit better for us.
It's very good, and Amory Huntsman trying to catch Central off guard, and just a miscommunication there between Dennison and looks like Presley Ryan, and it's going to gift a point to the Lancers.
Yeah, we did a great job, put the ball in a tough spot, little miscommunication from Central Wyoming. We get a big point here.
Just a little shout out there to Jaylee Critchfield. What a fantastic set she's had. She's just been checked out of the game with Annika Cantrell for Brindley Huff and Nola Hughes.
Yeah, ball.
That's going to be an antenna.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's going to be 2 points from the set for the Lancers. 2-point lead, 23-21. It's going to be a timeout by Coach Kim Davis.
Yeah, you can see Kim very unemotional over there, very stoic coach, but those last couple points I think bothered her a little bit. I don't think her team was in system. I don't think they were doing what she wanted, and great spot for a timeout for them, and hopefully our girls will regroup, come out of this ATO, and put the ball where we need to.
It's certainly one of those of if you give up points through maybe not communicating or, as we mentioned earlier, not managing the stuff that you can manage, I can understand why that's quite frustrating for a coach and really needing that just reset.
Coaches seem to get frustrated with that type of stuff, especially when you've worked on it, over and over and over again, and the importance of it, and then all of a sudden, a big moment, the girls don't do what you're asked, or the guys, whatever sport it is, and so the expectations, probably just one of those things that Coach Davis is going to go over there and remind her girls of, what's made them good this year.
Well, both teams back on court, and we're going to be about ready to get back underway. As we mentioned earlier, 2 points from the lead, 2 points from the set rather, and a 2-point lead as we get resumed here. The serve from Hughes, and I don't think that's what Coach Davis would have wanted after the timeout, but for the Lady Lancers, it's going to be an ace.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure she wasn't real happy with that, but again, it was another miscommunication, and they misplayed the ball in the back row, so point to the Lancers.
1 point from the set. Difficult ball there for Reeder to try and get a bit close to the net, and it's going to be a point for the Lady Rustlers.
So, you know, we got a couple of set points here, so hopefully our girls will capitalize, do a good job with the pass, get us in system, and let's finish this thing off.
Going to be number 24, Quincy Matthews, the setter to serve, and just clipping the top of that net there. And Anne-Marie Huntsman riding the tape and making sure, did a good bit of luck.
You know, as soon as that ball hit the tape, you just didn't know what was going to happen. You thought maybe, that'll fall over, will be fantastic, and as it starts rolling along the tape, you start to worry a little bit if that's just going to carry on and go out of bounds.
Well, nevertheless, it's going to be the third set to your Lady Lancers. 2-1 in sets, and Coach, that's exactly what the Lady Lancers needed, to regroup after that second set and to really come out fighting in that third set, and, well, they got, I feel, what they deserved.
I think it shows a lot of character. They had a tough second set for whatever reason, but they regrouped, came back, and got a big win, and now anything can happen. Now it's just down to, hey, let's win one here, and it's even, and go to a fifth. So, Jamie, why don't you tell us a little bit about that golf course down in Kansas? What do you know about it? What's it like? How does it play? Does it play long? Does it play short? Is it a windy course typically?
Well, the one thing that we've been told by Coach Smith is that one of its natural defences is the wind. We're actually happening to go down there, and I think the wind at the moment is supposed to be predicted about 10 to 15 miles an hour, so certainly not the winds that we were facing at Lamar, but nevertheless it's going to be an interesting one to kind of deal with. It plays at 7,500 yards, which will be the longest course that we've played this year, and course rating rates it at 5 over par, so it's a difficult course. Definitely in its setup, it's certainly a challenge, but it's one of those of, I've been talking a lot to Coach Smith about this, and we really need to go there with the mindset of, we're going to go there and we're going to perform, regardless of realistically where we come after the tournament. We're going to be there and we're going to play 3 days of golf, and we've got to just try and maximise what that looks for us. And really, we need to go in with a positive mindset of, screw it. I mean, we're going to these tournaments. Why can't we win it? Go to win.
Absolutely. So if you guys, what else can you find out about the golf course? Can you play this golf course on your simulator?
Probably not. Okay. So for the simulator that we have here, it tends to be a lot of your like PGA Tour courses and courses that are downloaded and scanned, but that course, unfortunately, probably will not fall under that umbrella. For us, realistically, all that we can do is we can have a look online and we can have a look at the whole preview and kind of do a bit of Google map research and have a look at, is it a dogleg left, is it a dogleg right, is it a dead straight hole, where's the danger on the hole.
Sure. So is there a lot of twists and turns, a lot of dog legs? Is it a straight course? How does this play? A lot of water hazards?
So from the pictures, because I remember making up a yardage book for the guys last year, and certainly from the pictures, I remember going through it and going, this doesn't look that tough. Like, it doesn't look like the kind of course that's going to cause all sorts of challenges, but the one thing obviously I was misinterpreting was actually how far it is. And I think that's going to be one of the main defences for the course. Certainly this time round is really the course is a very long course. 7,500 yards is a long course by any standard, and if I'm looking at my course back at home, it plays 1,000 yards longer than my course back at home. So that's a massive course, and a lot of those holes are going to be very stretched out. And I think the general consensus is that it's not super wide. There's a lot to go wrong in terms of if you miss the fairway. But it's one of those of we need to manage the misses and go there with confidence. And I think, we as a team right now are doing everything we can to make sure we're prepared for that. And really just kind of go there with high expectations of ourselves and to make sure that we do everything we can.
Oh, absolutely. We look forward to hearing more about that. And we can maybe get into a little discussion about some club selection.
Yes, for sure. So we're about to get this fourth set underway here. And this is going to be one that the Lady Lancers are going to want to build off of that, and that's a great serve there by Lola Hughes. the setter.
That was one of the rare serves that you look at and just couldn't tell if that was going to die and stay in or not. And it absolutely did. It was a fantastic
serve.
serve.
Be a point for the Lady Lancers. Again, my inexperience with volleyball is going to tell me that I don't know why. Whether it was a net violation, but I didn't see a lot of movement of the net.
Just looked like a little net violation there by Central, and again, point to us.
And again, that's a fantastic serve. Just sitting from here, it's really amazing to see the dip that Lola Hughes is getting on some of these serves. And Brindley up there, just getting a little bit unlucky and getting that block straight back in the face.
Yeah, she got caught in a tough spot. She tried to tip the ball over, and Central does a good job at the net and just falls right on her head.
What a serve that is by number 2 for the Lady Rustlers. But Amory Huntsman, what a kill. And that's a fantastic way to kind of get the ball back.
Yeah, nice sequence by our girls. Yeah, they just need to keep doing it. Maybe Central did relax a little bit. Maybe they thought they were just going to walk through that third set, and it didn't happen. And now they've got a dogfight in their hands.
The one thing that I think we very much underplayed as well in that third set. I was about to say something about service errors. Of course I was. In that third set, we didn't really have a lot of service errors, and we just kick off with one service error there.
That is just the way it works. I mean, you start to talk about it, and then the opposite happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got to learn as a commentator when I need to shut my mouth. But, wow, Una Stepic really doing a good job of getting that rebounding kill.
Yeah, it really put the hammer down the first time and caused a long dig back to the net, and she was able to hammer it a second time.
Alana Asante up to serve. We haven't seen her serve a lot so far today, but another one of those dipping serves. And again, that was a complete mishap there by Central Wyoming, and all of a sudden momentum does appear to be with the Lady Lancers.
It does, and just a little bit of mistimed jump there. They're trying to set in the middle, that little quick set, and set looked good, and the hitter just mistimed it.
I think it's one of those that certainly in the second set we didn't see a lot of mistakes out of Central. These last 2 sets we've just seen a little bit of vulnerability out of Central. Just a few of those points just showing kind of maybe where their weaknesses are. Brindley doing really well there to get that back over the net, and I think that was necessary rather than trying to, get a perfect set going. And
yeah, she did a great job just making the most out of what she had.
And that's a shame there. Alana Asante trying to get a hand to that. I think there was a few shouts of out. It was a bit hard to hear out of the headset.
That would have been awfully close. I think she did probably the best thing to just try to play it. Just got to have her hands just need to be a little bit quicker.
One of those things for those of you that maybe follow a little bit of, well, what I call football, but what Americans call soccer. It's one of those as a goalkeeper you're always taught. If you're in doubt, dive for it. If you're in doubt, get to it. And even if you then end up giving away a corner, you just need to get it. And I think the same applied there for Alana Asante.
Oh, absolutely. Another point for our girls. So building a 5-3 lead here, and hopefully have Jaylee Critchfield in to serve.
And there again, Vladina Ristic really being a vocal point for the Lady Lancers on the bench, barking out her orders. And I think Coach Engel, if she was up to it, I think she's probably quite a good coach in the making.
That might be, she might have a real future in there. She seems to be a real positive young lady, really knows the game, and she's going to do a great job talking to the girls.
Yeah, and she's shown a lot of displeasure with that decision from the line judge, but I think from the players on court there wasn't a lot of argument.
No, and I couldn't see it. I was blocked there, but no, our girls didn't react at all.
No, just rather fascinating to all of a sudden see some arms go up by Vladina and kind of questioning that call, and just a little bit out of system there, and they just need to work on getting back into it, and the setter there just catching them off guard, and they've tied up the game.
Yep, she made a nice little play there, found a soft spot. I'm not sure if that was going to be in or not, but again, you had to make a play on it. She tried to dive and just couldn't quite get to it.
Certainly from my angle, it looked like it had kind of like a dying pace. It looked like it was going to fall in bounds. I think it was a necessary step for Critchfield to take.
Absolutely. It'd be hard to tell her not to go get it.
No, exactly. As we were just saying, if you're in doubt, go for it. And
absolutely.
It's one of those things of maybe it doesn't work out, but it's what needed to happen. And Una Stepic there just ending up putting that in the net.
As good as we looked early, now all of a sudden we're going back the other way, having trouble staying in system, getting our sets where we need to. But Nice thing about this is you turn around, you got another point here, another opportunity.
The one main thing with this set to note is the fact that there's been some very good rallies, and I think overall it's been a pretty promising set and not really kind of getting that off how they wanted to, but Annika Cantrell denying them at the net, and that's an important point.
You know, great block, great time by Annika, and hopefully we get a little bit more of that from her as we move forward here.
Una Stepic up to serve, and one of those where on her day she's been a very good server, and that's a good serve in itself. Rasmussen just going to have to get this back over. Chance to take advantage, and they do with Savannah Kirkbride. And I think that's a fantastic example of maybe what the Lady Rustlers were doing to us earlier in the game, just taking advantage when they were getting out of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And now all of a sudden we're back in system, last couple of points, and we look awfully good.
Una Stepic with a nice dipping serve there. Played very close to the net. Denied by Huntsman. Recovered well by Una Stepic. Huntsman hits it down, and that's going to be another kill.
Great job. You know, that's 3 points in a row now. Our girls have done a fantastic job staying in system, being where they need to be, and just need to continue to do it.
Una Stepic. Another good serve to back court. Really had that number one of the Lady Rustlers backpedaling there, and unfortunately, I think Anne-Marie Huntsman just getting in the way a little bit of Olsmera, and well, nothing that she could have done, obviously, but
you know, it's one of those really hard hit balls that just ate her up. She just couldn't get her hands to it.
I was very worried for Osmera for a second. I thought she was going to clatter into either the post or at least the referee's stand, but she somehow managed to slide herself through.
Yeah, absolutely. Another good job by Annika Cantrell there with the kill.
It is going to be Olive Osmera up to serve.
Another strong serve by Olive.
It was, and really kind of had the Rustlers confused as to who was going to get it. And Una Stepic there with a good hit down, and again by Alana Asante and Annika Cantrell. And all of a sudden, in these last 4 or 5 points, the Lady Lancers are finding themselves at the net.
Yeah, yep, looking really good here. Another point or two, I'm sure Coach Davis will call timeout.
Another serve to come in from Osmera.
Great serve.
It's another fantastic serve, and all of a sudden, this is a fantastic look, and Huntsman and Osmera are there just kind of looking at each other and just wondering exactly who was to blame maybe, but nevertheless, it's been a good run of points for the Lancers, and really to lead 10-8, especially, you know, when you do look at that second set and how easy it could have been to be demoralised. They've done a very good job to then get themselves back.
Yeah, it's important to have a short memory. There's just a little miscommunication between our girls, and they're talking about it now. Just got to get it right, and I'm sure it's one of those things as servers, and you can see again Coach Davis with the sign of where the ball needs to go. We'll see if it goes right back there again. Sure enough.
They do indeed. Critchfield to Huntsman, too long, and that's unfortunate there by the Lady Lancers. I think that was the right call, but just didn't quite get it before the line.
You know, it was good spots, good play, good strategy. Just need to execute it a little bit better.
Ball coming in, going towards Osmera, up from Huntsman.
Really tough play there by Central.
That's a fantastic recovery as well by their number 24. Really, and Central really out of system. That's 4 touches of the ball before it went over the net.
Another good point. You know, even though we fell behind for a second or they tied it up, you know, we're doing well. Our girls are playing in system, keep moving, a lot of excitement out there, and I know our girls would love to get to a 5th set.
I think Annika Cantrell there just being checked out of the game, and she's been a very important presence so far in this 4th set. As Lola Hughes and Brindley Huff check back into the game. Lola Hughes to set Huntsman with the tip over, and it's going to be enough for the kill.
And, you know, that was that creativity we were talking about earlier, is that you got to be able to do different things at the net, and that little tip there, you know, everybody's trained to block and deal with it. Not everybody's great at dealing with the little tips.
And Lola Hughes with a fantastic serve again. Her serving game has been fantastic so far this evening. Rasmussen really putting that in between Osmera and Una Stepic.
We just couldn't get our hands on that one at the net. She went right between us, and it makes it more difficult for the back row for sure.
Must admit, there's been a lot of balls that have ended up going into that little alleyway between one of the exits and the end of the bleachers, and you can see that Finn Rosseth there, who is the cameraman, or at least the photo taker for tonight, he's been doing a lot of work. He's doing a bit of cardio there, getting in and out of the bleachers. Oh, and what a fantastic kill that was by Alana Asante, slamming that down and saying, thank you very much, we'll take the point.
Yeah, that little quick set in the middle, and if they don't react to it, Alana's going to put it down. She's a very good player, and she swings really hard.
Anne-Marie Huntsman getting the cue from Vladina Ristic as to where to put the ball, and exactly as I thought it was going to be, it was back court. All of a sudden, the Lady Lancers opening up a 14-11 lead, and Coach Davies going to take a timeout.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we go back to golf for a second here, and we're talking about you guys going down to a really long course, how does that affect the number? First of all, I guess we should ask the rule. Is there a certain number of clubs that you guys can have in the bag?
Yeah, so you're not allowed to have more than 14, which seems ridiculous, to maybe people that don't necessarily know golf. Why would you need 14 sticks, essentially? But, each one coming with its own loft and lie, and each one serving for a different purpose. And I think really in terms of the impact that a long course is going to make is you're just going to end up playing a lot of your kind of longer clubs a lot more. You're going to be playing a lot more drivers, a lot more fairway woods. So that's one thing that we've been very much working on is trying to work on our driving and our ability with our fairway woods and maybe even our long irons, just to try and really make sure that we're ready.
So as far as those 14 clubs, will you guys carry another fairway wood, or will you carry another fairway wood that maybe you don't usually, or will you have two drivers, something with a different loft to it, or how does that work?
So my system is that I run 58, 54, 50 in my bag for wedges. Then I've got irons, pitching wedge up through 4 iron. The only thing that's going to change for me potentially is if I play a 5 wood or a 2 iron, which really just changes the trajectory of the ball. Do I want a lower flighted ball or do I want a higher flighted ball? And that's really it. But that's going to be an interesting one to see when we do get down into Kansas and we play that practice round on Wednesday, what that course really accommodates.
I'm sure the wind and the weather will give you a little indication of which one you're going to choose, that 2 iron or the 5 wood.
Yeah, absolutely. The service coming in there. The dig from Osmer was a little bit awkward. And 2 very quick points in succession there for the Lady Rustlers, and the Lady Lancers just need to get themselves back into gear.
They do. That set just went a little bit too far, I should say. That pass just went a little bit too far.
Osmer there just couldn't quite move her feet in time. I'm not sure whether she was just confused as to whether it was going to hit the net or whether it was going to end up coming over.
But, kind of between her and Anne-Marie, and again, communication is vital.
All of a sudden, it's now a tied game at 14 apiece. Oh, a bit of a dipping serve there.
Yeah, that little knuckleball really's got movement on it.
And a good block there, up by Asante and Huff. The hit down by Stepic, and that did fall in the lines. And the Lady Rustlers take a lead for the first time in quite a while in this set. Lady Lancers have been on top, but maybe just need to get themselves back into their system and back into their groove.
Yeah, I think another point or two, and Coach Hamilton will burn a timeout as well.
Serving from Reeder. The dig from Osmera. The hit down from Huff is enough to kill the ball, and that's an important point to get.
Yeah, it gets us even again. Girls are in a good spot. And again, it's important to have a short memory and be able to move on.
I'm just having a quick look here through the stats. We didn't really get a chance to talk about the stats through the third set, but you look at the first and the second set as the serve going over there from Asante. First and second set for the Lancers, we had a negative hit percentage on the game. That third set we had a 0.2, which is much more like it.
Absolutely, making progress there, going forward. It's just what our girls need to do. Looks like we're going to be in a back and forth affair here.
And there we are, the ball into the net, and they give the point to us. And it's one of those of, again, it's if you're gonna give us those points, we're not gonna complain.
Absolutely. There's an old saying, when the other team's making mistakes, don't stop them.
JD Critchfield back in the game with Annika Cantrell, checking in for Lola Hughes and Brynley Huff. It's a great dig there by Huntsman. This just needs to get back over, and they do a good job of that, getting themselves into defensive formation. And unfortunately there, just a good hit by Central Wyoming's Presley Ryan, and it's going to give the point to the Lady Rustlers.
You know, it was a really, really good job by Central Wyoming coming cross court with it, and our blockers just couldn't get a piece of it to slow it down. And sometimes just getting that little piece of it makes such a big difference.
Ball in from Ryan. Oh, and that's, honestly, that was a really good attempt by Critchfield to kind of keep it up in the air and keep the ball alive. It was just kind of a shame that it ended up falling on Central's side of the net, and they just took advantage of an out-of-system Lady Lancer team.
It was just a ball that she could not do much with.
18-6, the Lady Lancers trail. Ryan with the serve in. Dig from Stepich. Hit from Savannah Kirkbride. And it is a tip on Central Wyoming, and it is going to be a point for the Lady Lancers.
That's good to see our girls, again, not just keep doing the same thing. They went to the little slide play and got a tip and got a side out.
I think for a minute, Savannah Kirkbride looked like she thought she had just hit it over, and then almost took a second glimpse at the line judge there and went, oh, I actually got the point.
Great effort by Olives, just couldn't get the ball back up in the air.
And the Lady Rustlers opening up that 2-point margin again, as we get into the tail end of this fourth set. Lady Lance is going to be wanting to do everything they can to make sure that we put it into a fifth set, and just that little tip over there by Sarah Mercerview was enough to take it away from any of the Lancers, and the Lady Rustlers hitting that 20 number.
Yeah, it was just a couple times where they've served really well, and we've had difficult with the pass, getting it back up to the net, and we've hit a few of them over right at the net where Central can come back and hammer the ball back on us, and just gets us out of system.
The one interesting thing about this, Coach Engel, to see is the Lady Lancers throughout the 3 sets have accumulated 5 team blocks, but all of them being solo blocks. I wonder if that's a tactical thing, because it's not something that we've seen very often out of the Lady Lancers so far this year. They've all been very good at kind of helping each other out at the net, and to really kind of make sure that they're applying pressure from the front foot. And we've had no block assists so far this game, which is interesting.
It is an interesting observation. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the strategy or game plan was going into this, and if that's just kind of the way it worked out, or if that's something that we're intentionally trying to do.
Well, it must be said, I mean, certainly from the way that it looks at the moment, the Lady Rustlers have been going very deep with a lot of their hits, so that could be one of the things maybe, is just sacrificing one of those blockers and just putting another lady down court and making sure that they can recover it.
No, absolutely. Maybe a little bit as their prowess at the net as well. They're very good at the net. Maybe it's hard for us to get 2 hands on the ball.
And we've got Central out of system here. Now the Lady Lance are going to want to capitalise. Annika Cantrell getting it back over. Una Stepich digs. The set from Critchfield. The hit from Huntsman. Blocked. The Lady Lancers doing really well when they are in these positions where the blocks come in. They regain themselves really well, and it is out by the Rustlers, and that's a big point for the Lady Lancers, as you say.
Yeah, down 2018, down 2017, you get that point. 2018, you're serving to get to 2019. A couple big points here for our girls.
Olive Osmera into the net.
Just got the top of the tape. Looked like it might bounce over, but just came back the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's one of those unfortunate scenarios of, again, kind of unforced errors. It would be interesting to see at the end of the game how many service errors we did kind of accumulate. Certainly at the end of that third set we had 9, and that's maybe the blocked assists have been a bit of an anomaly as a stat, but certainly those service errors aren't. I think that's been quite a frequent show on our stat sheets here, and I think that just shows how attacking the girls can get with their serves.
No, absolutely. Kind of like turnovers in basketball. You can only take so many of them before it's really going to cost you. I would think 9 service errors is a lot to come back from.
Well, I think you're losing 9 points without really even playing a rally.
Absolutely.
It's a difficult one, and it's going to be a service. Not a service error, a net error called on, I think, Alana Asante, and all of a sudden the Lady Rustlers are 23-18 here, and they are 2 points from the win.
Yeah, big difference if we can get this to 20-20 or 23-20.
rally there was just very much pinball. There was a lot of good blocking going on, a lot of good hitting going on, and it was one of those of wonder where it's going to fall. Rasmussen with the hit. Good. Dug up by Una Stepic, and the block in there by number 5, Sarah Mercivy. And the Lady Rustlers are within 1 of the win.
A really nice set by Critchfield, and then Amory just, again, Central Wyoming is very good at the net, and they're going to get a hands on a lot of things there. So good time out here, 24-18. And now you just got to look at it. You really got to look at the cliche of 1 point at a time here.
Can't get too caught up with how many points that they're down. They are down 24-18. The Lady Lancers are going to have to find 7 points in a row. But quite as you said, Coach, it's that whole thing of take it 1 point at a time and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen stranger things happen. And, let's start here with good return, good pass, get it to one of our setters, and then let's see what we can do at the net with it.
Even as close as the WNTC game, one of these sets, I believe it was the second set, went to more points. I think it ended up being a 28-26 win in that set for the Lady Lancers, and they'll certainly be hoping for something similar here. They had to come back quite a lot. I remember I think they came back 5 points in a row to kind of make sure that they kept themselves in the game. Absolutely. Or in that set.
It'll be interesting to see this serve. I think we're going to end up going right into the back row with this serve.
Quincy Matthews to serve. The dig up by Stepic. Hit down by Cantrell is dug up really well there by the Lady Rustlers. So the set from Critchfield and slightly over by Huntman. And that looked like an antenna, and it's going to be the point for the Lancers, and that's the point after the timeout that's just going to be all so important.
Yeah. Tough one for us to see. The umpire's right in our way, but he had a great vision of it and definitely hit the antenna to give us a point.
Lola Hughes dipping towards the front of the court there, and that caused some issues for the Rustlers, and the block there by Brynley Huff just not quite enough to put it back over the net. Well, so that's going to be a loss for the Lady Lancers. 3-1 in sets. Coach, just give us your input on the game.
Other than that second set, I thought our girls played really well, and now we just have to regroup. We've got sophomore night tomorrow. We played Northwest, and we can hopefully solidify our spot there at fourth. And again, you just got to take them one at a time.
Difficult game for the Lancers there, but we will be back after a short break, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from Coach Hamilton himself. Thank you very much, Coach Bill Engel, for your fantastic work again tonight.
Well, Jamie, thank you, and we love having you here.
Hi, my name is Boda Milliadal. I'm a sophomore at Eastern Wyoming College, majoring in pre-health sciences. I want to invite you to Eastern Wyoming College for your continued education. We have small class sizes, a family-friendly environment, and we are affordable while offering many scholarships. The EWC offers so many program and career certificates, so we're sure there's something for you. Check us out online at ewc.wyo.edu or call us at 307-532-8230. Charge into your future with us at Eastern Wyoming College. Lancer up.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here post-game. Disappointing loss for the Lady Lancers tonight, 3-1 in sets. We'll run through the scores of those sets for you quickly. So the first set ended up in a Central Wyoming victory, 25-21. The second set ended up with a Central Wyoming victory, 25-9. Third set ended up a Eastern Wyoming win, 25-22, and that last set there ending in a Central Wyoming victory of 25-19. Well, I was just having a look at some of the stats, and I spoke at length earlier with Coach Bill Engel about it would be interesting to see what the service errors look like at the end of the game there, and it speaks volumes. We conceded 12 service errors as well as 12 reception errors, 11 setting errors, and 25 attacking errors. Overall, a lot of errors in that game, and I think that was really the telltale between the two games. I think it was always going to be tough for the Lady Lancers to get back at that if they were giving away those points through those kinds of errors. Overall, though, I think there are some very admirable performances to mention, one of which being Amory Huntsman. I think she did a very good job in general. It does show here that she had 9 kills and 9 errors, so it did bring out her percentage to 0. Annika Cantrell, for the first time this season, I think, having a negative kill percentage. JD Critchfield and Clara Hayhanen both having 2 kills each. Brinley Huff as well, doing fantastic outside. And she, in fact, also had 4 kills, but 4 errors as well to go with it. It does seem like for the Lady Lancers that seems to be a bit of a common occurrence at the moment, is that just having a bit too many errors in their game. We are still waiting for potentially Coach Hamilton to come up with maybe one of his players. But for right now, we'll run through some of the stats for Central Wyoming. And their kill percentage today was .146, which beats your Lady Lancers at their 0.073 kill percentage. Overall, I feel like it was a game that had quite a few errors, mainly from the Lancers, but there were a fair few errors as well from the Central Wyoming perspective as well. Central having 19 attacking errors, 4 setting errors, 8 service errors, and 8 reception errors. It's one of those of hardly fought game, and I think it's been a very good game to tune into. It's been a very good game to watch and to kind of understand. And I think that second set for the Lady Lancers had the very big potential of, of demoralising them, of kind of maybe setting them on the back foot, but they did a really good job in that third and fourth set to kind of stay with it. We are, in fact, being joined now by Coach Hamilton. We'll just give him a second to get the headset on. Good evening, Coach Hamilton. How are you doing?
Little frustrated.
Little frustrated. And I can understand that, especially with that result. So just kind of run us through quickly, what does that result look like for you guys now, and certainly coming into tomorrow with your game against Northwest?
Well, kind of we're still in the same boat as what we was before and everything. This is tomorrow is a must-win game for us if we're going to stay in fourth. And then, like I say, next week and everything, we have to beat Gillette. As long as we can win those 2 matches, we're in the regional tournament, and that's our main goal. Because right now, like I say, hopefully by next Friday we'll get some key people back. We have people, like I say, nursing injuries that we're going to hopefully we'll rest up some this weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves back, so we can start being full cylinders.
And I must say, one of the kind of perhaps more negative notes of the evening was that second set, that 25-9 loss in that second set, but a really good response there by your ladies in that third set to then come and win that 25-22. We had that bounce back. You had that kind of that mental attitude to kind of bring that back. So how important is it for your girls to kind of do that for tomorrow's game?
it's real important in everything. I feel like us winning that set will kind of put us in the right framework that, if we can, beat a team like this, even for a set, that we should be able to, come together and really get after it. But our biggest thing is we just got to clean things up and everything. It's real hard to win a match when you have 60 errors. And so I'll compliment Central. They came out and went after our weaknesses and everything like that. And we just have to clean it up and play better, ourselves and everything to win games that we need to win. So.
And I must say, that was one thing that kind of, looking at it with Coach Engel up here, it looked like Central were hitting a few nerves, especially early on. But then at the same time, in that third set and kind of in times in that fourth set, you were hitting nerves of Central that perhaps, that we hadn't exploited earlier in the game. So just sum up quickly, very disappointing loss here tonight, but for your girls kind of going forwards and to really solidify that place in the region, what more do they have to do?
Most important thing is like I say, us just come out with a lot of energy tomorrow and everything. And with it being sophomore night and everything, it's real important that we stay focused, because it's real easy to get not focused and everything with everything going on with that going on. So our most important thing, I think, is us just coming out and playing and bringing the energy and get ourselves communicating.
Well, Coach Hamilton, thank you very much for your time, and unlucky today, but go again tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Especially some from like names that you wouldn't normally expect to see them from, especially like Annika. Like Annika having 5 errors tonight, that's not normal. Like especially looking at, and even like Amory having 9 hitting errors. Like again, that's just not something that you see. I mean, I'm sure that we've got stats from other games and stuff, but it's not something that we normally see. Certainly out of those players.